A lot of companies these days are obviously shifting to remote because of the pandemic that we're in right now, the global situation that we're facing. And many companies who have never done that and maybe thought that it couldn't work, and you've been doing it for 11 years,
Yeah.
and now they're starting to do that. What is it that companies need to be thinking about as they go to maybe more hybrid or even more completely virtual teams?
I think what I found really works with the remote teams is you need to over communicate. What happens when you work remote is that especially when you're used to working with people around you in an office setting, is that communication, it happens, it's much easier. But when you get to a remote setting, what happens is you get to you obviously don't have that face to face connect. When I say face to face, it's like it's a human to human connection because you're so far away, even if you're using video. So what happens is that you tend to miss the nuances with in terms of communication, and sometimes there are issues related to that. So when companies are right, when they want to go remote, I feel that they need to sort of be mindful of the fact that communication can get challenging, and you need to over communicate a lot to your team. So that's the first thing. That's the big idea, and everything, the technology and all that stuff flows from that. So the big piece is communication.
So really over communicating, and what happens when they're not over communicating? What have you seen or experienced?
Well, things can be taken the wrong way. Typically, when you send out emails, for example, the tone is missing from emails, right? Written communication can be very clear, yes, but tone is missing. So sometimes people may take it badly, or they might have some kind of they might think that the intent of the email is something else. So that happens when you don't communicate. That happens when, typically, in a remote setting, even if and typically when you're using a system like Basecamp or Slack, for example, everything is like written and in chat and all that. So that can go awry sometimes if you're not careful.
So the tone gets missing and is missing, and therefore there's miscommunication that can happen in that regard. Is there such a thing as over communicating? Can you do it too much?
No, I think you can. I don't think you can do too much. I mean, that's my personal experience. And when I say over communicating, I'm not saying that keep annoying people with more and more emails. I'm just saying that try and be as clear as possible. Or if you feel that if you reread your email, for example, and you feel that you could have communicated it in a better way, then send a voicemail, for example. I'll give you an example. Back in the day, I had a client that, there were a couple of deliverables that I had to, provide. And, you know, and the client and I had, every person has his or her own preference in terms of communicating, what tools. Some people like email, some people just don't like to talk, and some people like talking on the phone. And this particular client didn't like talking on the phone, but he liked leaving voicemails. Okay, so he had a habit of working late at night and leaving voicemails. And because of that, there were a couple of things that, just to make a long story short, there was a bit of miscommunication over there. And so a couple of deliverables were lost in the maze, or in some of those voicemails back and forth. So this was getting a little tedious for me. So in one of those voicemails, I said that, look, we need to talk, right? And we need to. There are these couple of points we've gone back and forth, many times, but this is something that may lead to more confusion. So let's just get on the phone. Let's just put it in the calendar, and let's talk. So that's an example of over communicating, like saying something when you really want to say it, right? And not holding back because you anticipate that this might become a larger issue.